Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Let's get after it.
This is absurd. Do not do the viral chase money glitch. You are literally being trolled into going to jail. You see, last night, a bunch of videos went viral about a Chase bank system glitch, allowing people to withdraw massive sums of money which they didn't have from their accounts. The claim went that if you deposited a fake check into your account, the glitch would allow you to withdraw money before the checks are verified. Only problem is, that's not a glitch. That is one of the oldest and most common forms of financial fraud. But because these videos got tens of millions of views, and people under 25 literally don't use, therefore understand checks really, a bunch of people who saw these videos on X and TikTok actually tried it. Videos of people lining outside Chase this morning only made the frenzy grow, and it's now causing people to commit actual fraud. And the problem is, even if there is some sort of glitch that allows you to withdraw money you don't have, it's still illegal. They have all of your information and they'll just charge it right back to you once they find out. Just like this guy is now learning after falling for all of these posts.
Oh man, they really told me to tap in. Next day I was supposed to clear and look at my account, yo. Bro, what the?
I just had to start the video with this. For one thing, I wanted to make sure people saw this so they know not to be taking financial advice on the internet. If you could call lessons on fraud financial advice. But the second thing, I am shocked at the amount of people who fell for this. Is common sense not a thing anymore? I saw people older than me in that video. I know they knew better. I'm too young to have used checks, but I knew better than to buy into this nonsense. I feel like I'm constantly flip-flopping on whether I have hope for humanity. I do have hope for humanity, but then you see stuff like this.
What's going on in Aurora, Colorado should be one of the biggest news stories in this country right now. If you don't know what I'm talking about, a Venezuelan gang of migrants has taken over an apartment complex in Aurora and is forcing the tenants to pay them rent. They're of course heavily armed, and the landlord has no outlet for assistance. These people are essentially trapped, being held hostage in their own homes by this gang of migrants. It said they're going block by block, apartment complex by apartment complex to establish themselves in that area. They're also looting places like Target and stores and things like that. Look up these videos. It's absolutely insane. Aurora PD, FBI, DEA, what are they doing? Nothing. There's nothing they can do about it. I'm sorry, is this the American dream or is this the Venezuelan dream? And guys, this isn't on the border. This is happening in Colorado. This is the Midwest. Go to the comments. Let me know if you've heard of this, if you live in this area. What is going on, and is anyone doing anything to stop it?
Before we continue, I'm sorry about my voice. I've got some sinus stuff going on or something. While that guy's 100% correct that nobody is doing anything about this, at least not those who should be doing something about it, it's not because there's nothing that they can do. It's because they have no incentive. They won't start caring about this situation until it reaches their doorstep. All these elected officials only care about your needs when it's election time. Once the election's been won, you're just in the way of them fulfilling their agenda.
Reports are coming in that the motorcycle club, the Hells Angels, along with, I believe, the Mongols and the Outlaws, are making their way to Aurora, Colorado to confront these Venezuelan gang that took over the apartment complex. Now, if this is true, which reports are stating this, there's numerous videos about it, this is not going to fare well with this Venezuelan gang. And you got to understand, these one percenters, these guys mean business, like serious business, like kind of serious. So if it's true, which it looks like it is, y'all done f***ed up. Good luck with that.
If this is true, the people in that neighborhood need to get out while they still have a chance. There used to be a website called rotten.com when I was a teenager that you could go to look at pictures of things that you'll never be able to get out of your head. And as a teenager, I remember going there and viewing a compilation of photos where the Hells Angels and a rival group of bikers had just met up on the highway out in this desert and settled their differences with machetes. This could get really bad. The government needs to step in and fix this.
Just popping in to do a little wellness check on our British friends, because I really don't understand how violent offenders are not being prosecuted at all, just let off if they just say they're sorry. But multiple people have now been sentenced to years in prison because of comments on Facebook. And not even for just stirring up hatred or inciting violence, but if you post inaccurate information on social media, you too can be arrested. But don't worry everybody. The government definitely cares about stopping crime, especially because in the last year, more than 147,000 people have not been prosecuted for sex crimes, violence, and weapons possession. If they just say so. That's okay over there? Across the pond?
I just can't wrap my head around what's going on in the UK. I feel like that's where we need to be receiving refugees from. Those people need help. We're watching 1984 play out in real time, and it's not looking like it's going to end well for their citizens.
Can I please tell you this huge news? This is huge, you guys.
What?
Pfizer purchased a rival company called Arena Pharmaceuticals for $6.7 billion. And what they do is they have drug products that treat immunoinflammatory diseases from injury. So Pfizer, who's giving the injuries, are now going to be the solution.
It's the fox watching the hen house.
Like, come on. This is, what is it, problem, reaction, solution? But now they're in charge of it all. They're in control of it all.
Yeah, this makes about as much sense as the federal government investigating itself for suspicion of corruption. How much you want to bet we get some more false promises about the effectiveness of this treatment? Hey, if you're enjoying this video and you like this type of content, I make a new video just like it every day, Monday through Friday, around 3 p.m. It'd be awesome if you'd hit that subscribe button and come back tomorrow to join me. Also, don't forget to check out the latest episode of our podcast. If you like Coast to Coast AM vibes, you're going to love it. The link is in the description.
It's your homeboy Nino. Check this video out, family.
Does anyone else find it strange that nobody in America actually owns their home? I know a lot of people think they own their home. You know, they took out a mortgage, they paid it for 30 years, they paid it off, and now they own it. But they don't, because the government does. Like, the actual homeowner of every house in America is the government. Because here's the thing, if you actually own something, once you paid for it, you get to keep it. But that doesn't happen with houses. Think it through logically. In order to purchase a home, a person has to make money from a job, which is money that the government's already taxed. Then they need to spend that money on the home, which the government taxes. And then while you're living in that home, you have to pay utility bills, which the government taxes. You have to pay for insurance, which the government taxes. You have to pay for repairs, you have to pay for upkeep, all of which the government taxes. And then once you get to the point that you have completely paid off your home, you still have to pay the government for the privilege of living in the home that you paid off in the form of property taxes. And property taxes just make no sense. It's basically the government saying, yes, we know you paid for it. Yes, we know we didn't do anything to help you pay for it. In fact, we did the exact opposite and took money from you, making it harder to pay for the home. And then everything you needed for the home, we charged you more for. But if you don't continue to pay us property tax even after you pay off your home, we're going to take it from you. That's not ownership. Every single person in America is a renter. Even if you think you own your home, you don't. You're just renting it from the government. And if you don't believe me, don't pay your rent. Don't pay that property tax for a little bit and see what your government landlord does.
This is one that's always ticked me off a little bit. When I was looking to buy my current house, I actually took property taxes into consideration when looking for land. Because some areas are so expensive, it wouldn't make sense to build a house there, even if you could pay it off immediately. Property taxes make about as much sense as HOA fees, but at least with HOA fees, you get your grass cut and the occasional neighbor to argue with.
Yeah, they're locking things down. Several towns in northeastern Massachusetts, including Douglas, Oxford, Sutton, and Webster, have introduced an optional evening curfew to reduce the risk of a dangerous mosquito-borne illness. Northeastern towns issue voluntary lockdown to prevent spread of potentially deadly mosquito-borne disease, EEE. And Massachusetts health officials are advising residents to stay indoors. Yeah, don't get any sunlight. And imposing a 6 p.m. curfew on outdoor activities until at least October, after detecting a human case of Eastern equine encephalitis, which is actually a side effect of the lethal injections. Yeah, don't worry, it's just 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Everyone just needs to stay indoors because, you know, there's mosquitoes out here, and any one of them could be a deadly virus carrier. Right, Apples? Oh, I can't believe we're still doing this. It's been 5 years now, almost 5 years, and it still continues, and people will still believe it. Now notice too, they also say that it's voluntary curfew, which is how they always start them, and then they'll ramp it up, and a lot of people will start to die, and this time it'll be from the side effects of the lethal injections, which actually this thing is, and people will start to panic, and they'll be okay with being locked down again. But this time it's because of the mosquitoes. You gotta, there's mosquitoes out there, so we're gonna have to lock everyone down again. And notice too that they do it just after 6 p.m. So during the day, it's okay. Go out and get yourself killed. But after 6 at night, you really shouldn't go out. It's all the same as the COVID stuff all over again. But this one's got an added little twist to it because it's mosquitoes that are causing it, not humans. Therefore, they have to kill all the mosquitoes, which means they're going to spray people with massive amounts of toxic chemicals to kill the mosquitoes, but they're actually killing the people. New York City begins spraying population with pesticides, citing mosquito-borne viruses.
I almost didn't want to put this one in here because I think this guy is making some pretty wild claims there, but I figured I would throw it in so y'all could make your own minds up on it. I don't know if that video clip of the helicopter dumping mosquitoes was also in Massachusetts, or even if it's a recent video, or if that was even mosquitoes. I don't know. But it sure looks suspicious with the way that they're handling this supposed outbreak of Triple E. This all seems a little too familiar.
I think it's just going to get weirder and weirder and weirder, and finally it's going to be so weird that people are going to have to talk about how weird it is. I look for the invention of artificial life, the cloning of human beings, possible contact with extraterrestrials, possible human immortality, and at the same time, appalling acts of brutality, genocide, race baiting, homophobia, famine, starvation. The mushroom said to me once, it said, "This is what it's like when a species prepares to depart for the stars. You don't depart for the stars under calm and orderly conditions. It's a fire in a madhouse." And that's what we have, the fire in the madhouse at the end of time. This is what it's like when a species prepares to move on to the next dimension.
I don't know if Terrence McKenna had a crystal ball or what, but he sure predicted what society was going to fall into. I don't think we're as close to becoming a space-exploring species as they would want you to believe, though. I'm still not convinced that we've figured out how to get someone through the Van Allen radiation belt. I'm even convinced to a degree that the Van Allen radiation belt is protecting us from being visited or possibly inhabited by other interplanetary species that may already exist, sort of like a built-in force field. Though there's no guarantee that another species would have the same worries about being in close proximity to radiation like us. They may have the biology to protect them from it. I don't know.
Hey everybody, Cohen here with Cohen's Phone Repairs. Today I have an update on 5G. Now everybody says don't get a 5G phone because they're dangerous because of the 5G. Now I have two 5G phones in front of me. Right there is where the 5G chip is supposed to be, and right there is where the 5G chip is supposed to be. I'm sorry to break this to everybody, but every phone, and again, I fix phones every day, so you can take this from a reliable source. There's not a single phone in Canada that supports 5G. There's not a single carrier in Canada that supports 5G. It's a marketing scam. There's no such thing as 5G in this phone. What you're investing in is 5G for the future. So they're charging $200 extra for 5G when it's not even there. I don't know if this speaks wonders to you, but I think the government's doing other things with the 5G towers. So if this doesn't say something to you, I don't know what will. But again, I fix phones every day, And every 5G phone I fixed does not even have a 5G chip in it. And right there is where it's supposed to go.
If this is true, Canada has some serious explaining to do. This sounds suspicious as hell. They start selling you on a 5G plan and they don't even have 5G capabilities? It sounds like Canada has zero consumer protection laws. If this is going on, what are all the towers actually being used for? Are they literally having people pay for the service as they build it out, or is there something more nefarious going on?
If you didn't know that you didn't know, part 9. 75% of the mass of a human brain is made up of a substance called myelin. And myelin is made up 100% by cholesterol. I'll leave it there. On a separate and completely unrelated subject, Alzheimer's never existed until 1979, and yet now it is one of the leading causes of death in Western societies. On a separate and completely unrelated subject, margarine was first invented in 1869, and it didn't gain popularity until the Second World War, when butter and other animal fats were scarce. It grew in popularity in the 50s, but by the 70s, the animal fats in it had been replaced with vegetable oils. I'll leave it there. On a separate and completely unrelated subject, a simple experiment to do at home is to take a slab of butter, a slab of vegetable margarine, no animal fats in, and a slab of plastic, and stick them all outside in your garden, and have a look what happens. The margarine and the plastic will sit there for weeks. Nothing in nature will touch them. Try it. I'll leave it there.
And this should be common sense if you just stop and think about it. The things these seed oils are made out of are not bad for you in moderation. But when they take 50 pounds of soybean seeds and process them down into vegetable oil, you'd never be in a situation in nature where you could come into contact with that quantity of soybean accidentally. We were never meant to eat this stuff in such high quantities. That's why this stuff has gotten so out of hand and caused all these new illnesses.
This is what the World Economic Forum has got in store for you. All the big world leaders, this is what they want. It's a crazy time we're living in. Right now is the time that you need to be waking up everybody, telling everybody what's coming, because it's not good for your generation, for your families, for the next generation. It's not good. Just watch this video.
Used around the world to eradicate the virus, such as lockdowns, exclusion zones, forced closure of businesses, heavy fines, making protesting illegal, and so on. But now to eradicate carbon emissions. Those behind this scheme are adamant that there can be and never will be a return to normal, that life will never again be what it was prior to COVID. That is why they constantly talk about the new normal. This is not me saying this. This is them saying it. The people with the power and the means and the obsessional desire to do it. And they keep telling us again and again precisely what they have in store.
Now is the historical moment, the time, not only to fight the real virus, but to shape the system.
We have a unique but rapidly shrinking window of opportunity to learn lessons and reset ourselves on a more sustainable path. It is an opportunity we have never had before and may never have again. So we must use all the levers we have at our disposal, knowing that each and every one of us has a vital role to play.
The Great Reset is a welcome recognition that this human tragedy must be a wake-up call. It is imperative that we reimagine, rebuild, redesign, reinvigorate and rebalance our world. Rebalancing investment, harnessing science and technology, and advancing the transition to net zero emissions, all elements of the Great Reset, are fundamental to building the future we need.
And if it's still not clear, the book written by World Economic Forum boss Klaus Schwab himself, setting out precisely how the most powerful forces in the world are lining up to use the COVID-19 crisis as a pretext for introducing a new climate change-focused one world economy that will strip away property rights and basic democratic rights. They are not hiding this stuff, they are shouting it from the rooftops. The World Economic Forum boasts on its website that the only acceptable response to the COVID crisis is to pursue a great reset of our economies, our politics, and our societies.
So people, if you're still in doubt that they're not prepared to take away your freedom and not prepared to change the way that we live for the worse, not for the better, for the worse, then you're seriously deluded. You really need to wake up and realize what's going on.
And there you have it. That's why the world seems to be falling apart right now. They're desperately trying to reshape the world before we all wake up. This is the reason it feels like everything's gone off the rails. They're intentionally dismantling the system to build it into something that will give them more control. They feel their grip loosening and they're starting to panic. This is their last chance at total domination and they're throwing a Hail Mary pass. I don't think it's going to play out for them the way they hope, though.
When you eat the fruit, you should eat the seed. There's a tribe of folks in northern Pakistan called the Hunza. The Hunza people never get cancer. When the tribe was first discovered, their average age was 160. The Hunza people's favorite food to eat is apricot seeds. They take the apricot seeds and squeeze them and get oil out of them. They put the oil on their skin and the women don't wrinkle. They're really good looking at 70 and 80. Jason Vale teaches that cancer cannot survive in a body of a person that consumes apricot seeds. Did you know bread used to strengthen your heart? They learned years ago if they take out the vitamin E, the lecithin, and the omega-3 fatty acids, they take them out of the wheat, make the bread with white flour, the bread lasts for months. But the people started dying of heart attacks and strokes and circulation problems. See, it's a simple formula. The whiter the bread, the quicker you're dead.
I've got my doubts about the authenticity of this story. Don't we all die by the age of 120, no matter what, because of the telomeres on our DNA strands? I usually feel like this guy, I think his name is Kent Hovind, I feel like his stuff is a breath of fresh air, usually, in comparison to a lot of these clips, because he always tries to squeeze in a bit of hope in his messages. But I just can't help but feel like he has to be making this stuff up to try to back up his claim about white bread. So I had to look this up, and he was only off by about 40 years. Their life expectancy is 120 years. That's impressive enough in my mind. They've unlocked the secret if they've figured out how to max out the body naturally.
15 major theological religious movements in the world before Christianity that taught exactly the same identical story of a Messiah who came to the earth, who was born in a manger, who died on a cross, who had 12 apostles, who died with a crown of thorns. Are you aware that there were 15 major religions that had the same identical teachings of Christianity? Most people aren't. And I'm very suspect of a 16th religion, which is copied off of 15 previous religions, and I am told that this one is the truth. I become very suspect. God's son, S-U-N, the Egyptians said had an evil brother. He was the prince of darkness. And he came out at night to rule the world. When God's son died and went away, the world was in the hands of the prince of darkness. And his name was Set. And he came out at sunset. The Egyptians said that that newborn son that came up every morning, his name was Horus. In Easter, we have Easter sunrise services. Horus Horizon. That's where we get the word horizon. I'm saying that there are 15 major religions in the world before Christianity that have taught the same thing. It is a very ancient, old story. That's why the Bible's called the greatest story ever told.
And see, this is the exact reason here that I can't get on board with religion. None of them can do anything to prove that they have it right. They can only make claims, and they're all making the same claim, that they're the only religion. Sure, a lot of the stories in the Bible are backed up with significant evidence, but that just means that those stories are historically accurate. And how do you best deceive someone? You mix in a little truth with your lie. I'm not saying that Christianity is a bad religion or anything. I actually feel a pull toward it. I just can't get past this, and I don't know how any of you can. Anyone care to explain to me? Because I'm really struggling with this, and it's not something I want to get wrong.
This is absolutely insane, and something I thought I would never see in my life. Irish Catholics and Protestants standing shoulder to shoulder against mass migration. Generally, I thought I would never see this in my life. I don't think people understand the magnitude of this. And there was thousands from each side marching together down the street against mass migration. Thousands. And this is the message that I have been trying to get across to everyone, that we all need to unite. It doesn't matter what your background is, what your colour is. It is the rich elites, those in Westminster, against all of us. We're all part of this sinking ship. As long as we keep fighting each other, nothing is really ever going to be achieved. And all that is going to do is give the government more excuses to take away more of our freedoms. The right to protest, like these guys. The right to assemble. The right to free speech. That, you know, there'll be stricter laws about online speech as well. This is what's going to happen if we keep fighting each other. But look at it this way. If you put red ants and black ants in a jar together, they would just get on with their lives. They'd mind each other's business. They wouldn't harm each other. Until, say, I came along and shook the jar. Then the ants would go mad. They would go absolutely crazy. The black ones would think the red ones have done it. The red would think the black have done it. And then they start to kill each other. And that's literally what is happening in our society. Government are blaming the far right are blaming the Muslims are blaming the far right. You know, and then you've got people like me can see what's really happening, and it's the government that are causing all of this. The message is, please stop fighting each other. We are not going to achieve anything, and the government win. They take away more freedoms, and there'll be harsher laws online and in free speech and everything. That's what's going to happen if we don't work together. Sake.
He's absolutely correct, and it is awesome to see that people are starting to stand up together and stand up for their rights instead of falling into all this divisive traps that they keep throwing at us. And with all the destruction that it's caused in society and all the damage it's caused to the family unit, oddly enough, I think it will be the internet that saves us. I truly believe that our leaders never saw this coming. They had no idea that average citizens would start turning into researchers and journalists and digging up all the lies and manipulations and then exposing them to those that aren't paying attention. But guys and gals, I'm going to go ahead and leave the video right there. I hope you enjoyed these clips we watched together today. I'll be back tomorrow with another video. I hope you come back to join me. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and check out www.barry-stepp.com if you'd like to order yourself a shirt or a hat. It greatly helps me support the channel, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate everyone who's ordered anything off of there so far. Also, don't forget to post your photos of your merch over in the Discord to get your photo in a video. But with all that out of the way, I hope everyone has a great, safe, fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you all tomorrow.